My journey in coming to the ashram in Auroville actually started with my mother. When she was in Delhi, she used to see the Divine Mother in her dreams. And one day she saw the mother's calendar in the Delhi branch, and she found out who the mother was, and then she read about the mother, and she was all into it. And she decided that the right place for me would be to come to Sri Aurobindo Ashram. And somehow she managed with little difficulties, and she brought me here. When she brought me here, the situation was told to us that it was not possible to be in the ashram. But my mother was totally convinced that this is not possible. I will definitely be here. And my mother was not giving up, And my photo was sent to the Divine Mother, and the day before the school was supposed to open, the permission came that I'm admitted in the ashram school. So I was put in the ashram school, and the different life. I only later on came to know that this was all meant to be. Because like living in the ashram, there was no experience of missing the family or anything. The whole structure was so full and alive, and with new programs happening every day, and like you used to go to school in the morning, and before you enter, you are handed like a handmade paper with a message of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So you start your life like this, and you read a mother's message, and exactly 7:45, everything becomes silent in the sense they put the mother's music for 5 minutes. So the whole atmosphere, from the moment it starts the day, it's spiritually oriented. And the mother's physical presence was there, and because the physical mother was there, there used to be a lot of activity in the ashram. Thousands of people coming, and all the best people she would invite for the school, for sports, for education. So it was a very rich life. And every period of the class, that was whether it's maths or history or whatever, we used to again have 5 minutes of concentration. So in this atmosphere, with this availability of sports and everything, the whole system was kind of charged. And after the sports, they give you like peanuts and some groundnuts or stuff. And we used to share it with the squirrels in the school and all. And the experience was like so rich, so I've never been happier. It was so full of joy, so full of love and natural happiness, and totally being at home. Even though the whole life was within like few blocks. So there's the ashram, there's the school, there's the sports. So it's within the few blocks, but it's so rich in experience and just being alive and so on. So one of these days, when my mother was living in Auroville, so she came and she gave me this ring which has the mother's symbol on it. So I was happy to have a ring, like a small kid having a ring, So one day, my mother's friend, she asked me, I don't know why, but she asked me, why are you wearing a ring? Are you married? So I said, yes, I'm married to the Divine Mother. And I just said it spontaneously without thinking. And when I said that, my whole body kind of just froze. And I had this descent of light and this force coming down. And I had never experienced that before. And I couldn't speak, but I was just letting it in. This was the first experience of descent that happened. Then gradually, when you go to the ashram and all, you go to the samadhi. And so there were all lifelong there was instances they were happening. In 1973, the mother left her body. And so my parents were in Auroville, and they said, why don't you come with us? So I moved to Auroville at the end of 1973. And this Auroville life was totally different. It was, there were not many people, and the people who came, they were like welcomed or experienced in a way that was like, wow. Like everybody is a wow, you know. We had the Auroville bakery and the biscuits and sports and the work, which was mostly Matri Mandir and Tujurmiya workshop in Aspiration. So the life was working come little studies. The school was not very active, but we used to go sometimes to Shraddhavan or Rod for Savitri and all. So it was, the experience was also very different, but very rich. It was like, you know, the joy of having new people was, I've never experienced this before. Because everybody came for one purpose, which was Auroville, which allowed people to mingle in a total freedom in which in the world we have our barriers. So this was a great thing. But later on in few years, there was some people who wanted Auroville to be totally under them, not people governed from Pondicherry. So there was a split, and we had to move to Pondicherry and in the society house. So the Auroville life was kind of stopped. While we were in the ashram, living in the ashram, that also is very rich. It's like you go for breakfast, and it's a collective breakfast, and there's thousands of, not like now, but there were many people. It was full. It was a lot of people, and the energy, and there was all this time we didn't have these restrictions. Like now there is so many restrictions, which is not this, no children, not this, not this. When the mother's time, we didn't know children. Ashram is full of allowed children. They go all over. They used to run around and play with children near the samadhi, and like things were different because the mother would make the decision, not other people. So it was all for helping humanity or helping what works for the people. All the time that I was in the ashram, like the meditation for the darshan days never happened at 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock. It was always 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:30. Udarda will come, he'll make the bell, tong, tong, tong. And from breakfast time till 10 o'clock, everybody is hanging around there. The energy is building up of the darshan, and everybody is mixing, sharing. The school is full, samadhi is full, people outside, and people who are coming from far, they can easily come because it's not like early morning. So then the meditation is over by 10:30, and then again everybody going to samadhi, going here, and it's so full of life, so full of things. Because while the mother was there was this movement of giving all the time, this flow of giving. So people would come few days before the darshan, they would go in lines, and they would receive the ashram symbol in the handkerchief or some card or something. Even on darshan day, the cards and this and that, so sweets. Even on calendar day, like New Year's Day, everybody, even Pondicherry, the whole Pondicherry may come, doesn't matter. Everybody would get a calendar, everybody would get a sweet, and there would be lineups like you couldn't believe. But that was the Divine Mother. She was for everybody. She was for humanity as a whole, I would say. And even after physically she was not there, this movement of samadhi, darshan, and everything went on in a very high. It's still there because the atmosphere is there. So one of these darshan days, I was sitting, like people sit around the samadhi and all. I was still young. So I was sitting and I was kind of meditating, or just. So I saw a huge sunlight here, like a sun. So I didn't understand. It was like a big sun, a big power, big something. So I allowed it to be, and but I understood it could mean something. So when I used to go at the meditation hall, then I started to go. After that, I started to do little meditation because people go and meditate. So I went to in the back. There's a meditation hall, and people go there and everything. So I saw all these people doing meditation from a long time. So I thought they must be all great spiritual people. I'm just having some small experience here. So I also started to do little meditation, or it would happen. But then I realized that not everybody was having these experiences or having this. So I said, okay, doesn't matter. I have to do my thing. So this experience would be like the physical body will become very big, very big, very big. And a different taste in the feeling. And sometimes this nectar would just flow here, flow the sweetness. It's a physical sweetness, like it's not eating honey, but it's like a physical thing, like this, like this. And this went on for quite some time, like up and down and everything. So in between, there was an arrangement made that I go to Canada for studies and work, so I left to Canada. And the life was different there. But my real joy was being around the mother's atmosphere, So I realized even if I had $1 million, I would not live there. I would come back here. So for 15 years, I went 6 months. I worked in Canada, and then 6 months I would spend that money being around the Samadhi or whatever. Auroville, we were not coming that much because we were still banned, and some people wanted to still behind us in the negative sense. So my mother was afraid that if I come here, So for that, we kept it at a distance. But as far as I was concerned, we were part of Auroville and Mother. And my mother, somebody asked her, are you a society member? She said, no, I'm an Aurovillian. Because in her heart, she was always committed to Auroville. And she loved the time that we spent here. And it was, when we were in Auroville, there was true, not much food, not much this, but we were so happy. There was this mother's force, there was this protection, which is still there. I mean, in the ashram, or that energy that is behind, it's always there. But it was so magically happiness that I've seen some photos of where there was a revolt in Auroville about people with a split with the society and all. And I saw the people who were against the society or whatever. If I look at their face even now in this photo, I saw they were all happy and smiling. And I see that even now I don't see those smiles. I mean, we have lived that. We know that it's a joyous thing, and it's such a grace to be part of Auroville and that energy and the flow and everything. So in reality, it was just. How I would say, it was a mother's grace pouring in and giving you all she can. Now it's up to us what we take or what we make out of it. So then later on, when I was in Canada, I started to have these experiences to a little stronger extent. And then when I came back here, I decided that because my consciousness is changing or it's shifting, that I will not be able to mix in a normal way, which I used to, with my whatever music and this and that. So I had to kind of. So this time when I came, they gave me the job to work at the Samadhi. So that was nice because I didn't want to be in any other job or any other thing. In the Samadhi, my job was to put the flowers. I made a prasad plate, and people come, they bring hundreds of flowers, and they can take those flowers back home. So this exchange started to happen more, and I made it easily available for the people to take flowers and everything. So there's a lot of energy and flow. And this, while this was going on, of me working at the Samadhi, I started to feel what other people were experiencing. If somebody was having an experience at the Samadhi, I could pick it up. I could direct the traffic or in a way which would keep things smooth. So all this was happening. And one day there was our physical education in charge, Parnobda, his birthday was there. So everybody goes to his birthday. So this was in corner house. So I had to leave my Samadhi to go to corner house. So I don't, that atmosphere is so strong, like so lovable, you don't want to leave it. But I said, no, okay, I have to, they invited me, so I have to go. So I walked towards corner house. And I was walking towards, as I was walking towards the corner, I saw above hundreds of beings, hundreds. And they were all joyous and partying and happy and everything. But I realized that those beings and the beings at the Samadhi which I feel or are different type. So I couldn't understand. So I felt, no, I have to be with the Samadhi because I know all the gods and goddesses are coming and they are kind of working on each individual in their own way. All this is invisible, but when you are working and involved in this, you can see this a little bit. So then I saw these beings, they're having a great time, they're all jala and everything, but they are of different type. So it is not okay for me to go there now. And I don't know if I remember went or not, but then I kept, because I have to be, so I didn't go, but Pranabda is a very close friend of mine, and he has always been very close in the sense he always protected me. When things were off in the ashram and I was thrown out, and so he protected me, he brought me and gave me the job in the playground so I can stay in the ashram. Anyway, that's another story. But so at these times, what happened was this experience of this descent, I would say, started to happen every day without fail. So every day this descent would come, so I would be like more of the day in meditation. And we used to go in the dining room for food, and the meditation would continue, the space of meditation would continue. So all this was going on inside. And the richness of being near the Samadhi would naturally make it stronger. Sometimes it was so strong that in the afternoon I didn't want to go there because it would be like I have to digest it, like it's. So this experiences started to change, and then I had to go back to Canada. I went back to Canada. By then, the whole inner thing had totally altered. So the way my life was became like the inner and outer took more or less like this. And as they became together, spiritual life became automatic, not through an effort, not through trying to sit for meditation or you became about that naturally. And then the visions came, which was the divine plan. Actually, it had come, and I had asked a friend of mine to make like a drawing on Corel Draw 3, and he had made it for me and gave it to me in a floppy, which I was going to finish it off there. So I developed it. I rented a computer. But initially, I didn't want to do it because this is not my interest or field. But no, it was coming strongly, so I rented a computer. And it was revealed to me how the back will be and how this will be. So it finally got made. So far, I had not really read Mother Sri Aurobindo so much. It was the divine plan got made. So I sent to the ashram. I said, this has come, and like that. I was sharing it with Chandrakant. The trustee who was Harikant Bhai, that time, I was sending him mail and stuff. So this divine plan got made, and then when this divine plan was getting made, I realized that I have come on earth for this work, which I didn't know it like that, This was my work on this earth. So the divine plan, the making of it, it gave such intense joy, such intense satisfaction and the divine bliss and all, that you can have millions, you can have anything in the world, nothing comes close to it. So I didn't have money. I had just enough money to lead, and I stopped working for money because I wanted to do this work. And funny thing is, I stopped working for money, and since that time in my life, I have never been without money. It has always been just enough or whatever. So when you work for the divine directly, the divine takes care of you. It's unimaginable. Anyway, so this divine plan was made, and then I came back to Pondicherry. And to explain or to understand the divine plan or improve the divine plan, I started to read Sri Aurobindo. I had read the Mother before, but I started to read Sri Aurobindo so that I can improve the divine plan. In 2 years or something, I kept reading and reading, trying to improve the divine plan, but I couldn't. It was just the way it is. I couldn't improve it. But the fact that I was reading Sri Aurobindo to improve the divine plan, I got a lot of information in it. So out of that, another book was formed called The Supreme Knowledge. Because I had seen sometimes there is people have an opening for the Mother Sri Aurobindo, and next day something may come and they have an opening for another guru, and they may have an opening for another thing, because the base in which they live, that is not understood of what Mother Sri Aurobindo is and are, and what they are doing, and the work of what they have to be done. And anybody who has understood Sri Aurobindo, they can know that this is the highest thing available on earth. Because this is not just realizing your soul, which is the very basic necessity so that you can see what is the truth and what is not the truth. Because these asuric forces, they're extremely clever. They can use your mind and vital and make you believe anything and do anything. But the soul, they cannot. Soul is direct part of the Creator. So once you realize the soul, you can know how to do the yoga or how to go about following the divine will and making it manifest. So this is like a starting point. And with the Sri Aurobindo's yoga, with the divine plan, which I understood was, first thing is to realize your psychic being. Psychic being is something which kind of evolves part of you, which is behind the mind, vital and physical, even though it evolves and takes each birth. And this evolution is your spiritual growth. And when the psychic being is the main, becomes issue, main driving force, then one cannot make mistakes or make oneself a great yogi, or oneself fall in the ego, or get stuck in some plane. Because no matter what power there is, the truth is it belongs to the divine. It has come to you. The psychic being's nature is always like a child. And because this nature of child is of psychic nature, that's what's required for Sri Aurobindo's yoga. Without the psychic, you cannot do Sri Aurobindo's yoga, because his yoga is not to realize oneself, but to realize the universal consciousness, which means you know the whole universe. You can see the whole universe at the same time. You just, wherever you look, you can see what's happening. Universal consciousness. Then to go into other higher realms of being, which is the intuition mind and over mind, which is Shri Krishna, the relation that Sri Aurobindo had in 1910. So above the overmind, there is something called supermind, which is beyond time. And nobody can receive that, in the sense it is so powerful and so much light and everything that some people have even tried before they have to leave the body. So Sri Aurobindo's yoga is to bring that supermind's power down into the universal consciousness and then into oneself, into the earth. And this process is to happen not only for yourself, but for anybody who wants to do Sri Aurobindo's yoga at the final. So this has to be repeated in each individual. So this process is a very big job, because when people who are in the spiritual life, just to realize the soul, that itself is a realization or the end of the achievement. So this process, which is bringing the supermind down to the earth, is unthinkable. Because the work is so big, it cannot be done by any human strength or any human intelligence or any human power. So that is why they have made what is called offering or surrender. And they have made what is called all life is yoga. In the sense, you have to make all life a yoga. All life is yoga of nature. But it becomes all life into yoga when you consciously choose to make your life yoga, in which you are constantly in remembrance of the divine, constantly in the offering of yourself to the divine, and constantly receiving from the divine. This process alone allows the barriers or the chains of the limitations that are there to break up, and one starts to go up. And the danger is always there, because anytime you are not open or insincere in any form, it gets chopped and you come down. So this constant, what they call it, the three things: aspiration, rejection, and surrender. With aspiration is what that lifts you up, and you have to reject all that is not the divine. And surrender is in which you allow the divine to come in. So these three movements are a constant flow of this. So when one is doing these three movements as a conscious person of every moment, in every moment of every moment, this Sri Aurobindo's symbol, the triangle, Satchit Ananda coming down, and life, light, and love. Life, life, and force. The triangle going up. So this union is Sri Aurobindo's work. So human has to aspire with all his life and force, and this Satchitananda opens up and comes and joins it, and this will be the future transformation for all humanity, which Sri Aurobindo is called the supermind descent. So Auroville Ashram is a concentration of these forces working. Because these forces are working strongly here, I was in Canada, I was very sincere in my spiritual thing, maybe 10 times more. But being here, this force is invisibly around you. So this force is constantly working, and this what makes it Auroville the cradle for the Superman. It allows or gives you the space necessary for the work which has to be done for the earth, for all, for the evolution of man, can be faster. Mother was insisting very strongly. She wanted the Matrimandar to be ready fast. And one of the major reasons for that is because this force is so powerful, so pure as for the earthly consciousness, it is not possible for it to be everywhere so easily. It requires a space, it requires a proper physical space also. So Matrimandar is one of those major places. Sri Aurobindo Samadhi also is there, Sri Aurobindo's room is there which is charged. So Matrimandar is for all humanity, in where when people come with this opening who are ready, can easily receive This force works anywhere, anywhere on earth, no matter. But there's a concentration, there's a certain extra help which the Matre Mandir and certain high spiritual places actually provide. Like I was traveling in India and I was to go to a temple or something, and I'm not about temples, but I would go and then I would feel like I'm being pulled, and I would go there and the priest would give me special attention and give me flowers and this and that. And I was wondering why I've been treated extra. But actually it was not the priest. There is a concentration, there is those gods. They're all there. They know who's what, and they take care of you and they bless you, and the job is, they can't go out of the temple and do this on the street. They need a space, they need a place. So Matre Mandir is a place for the super mind. It's a place where people can have experiences much easier, much openly. So right now they have humans running it. So it's not like as expressive as the Divine Mother and giving and this and that. But eventually a time will come when a Matre Mandir will be open for all humanity. And you don't need all this bio and all this to go in. You don't go to your temple and give all information about this and that and talk about, you're going to for God's relation, and God is waiting for you to come so that they can take care of you and open your way for spiritual things. This is the work, not all this drama. So anyway, so I hope in future, like they open the Matre Mandir for 4 or 5 hours just for the public to go in and come out. And for people for serious meditation for other times. Because this this is a place of transformation, and if it's not being used and locked up, and because human minds want to keep everything pocket for themselves, and they want to hide everything, and what the mothers has said, many things which came out much, anyway, so that's not my business, but the force is always working. Now, if we collaborate with the divine force that is working, it naturally helps us. So when I started to do sadhana and yoga and this and that, so before I was into little self-improvement. I used to buy books, Dale Carnegie and whatever, and mind control and stuff. So then when the spiritual touch happened, the experience happened, immediately everything dropped off. I realized that life or the spiritual thing is so vast, so big, and the divine's intervention is there all the time. And when the divine's intervention is there, it is no more about the ego life or the building of being a great person or knowing or being. It's about being nothing. If you cannot be nothing, you cannot enter the path of Sri Aurobindo's yoga. Because Sri Aurobindo's yoga is about actual experience of life. It is not knowing, all right, for understanding he has put the philosophy and everything, but it's what you experience is what you experience. So without experience, all this is information. We can talk about this and triple this and this force. It's all information. And information has no, how they call rasa, or the joy, and the work of the forces, the helping forces and the aspiration. So even if somebody has no information, they can still receive and be part of the light that is descending and all that. So it is not about information. Information is there to assist us if you want to make use of it, but not be about information. So while I was reading this Sri Aurobindo's books, I made some notes, which I felt they were valuable. So because I saw these people, one day I was talking to him and he was Buddhist, and the other day he was this, and the other day he's this. So, and being close to availability of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and not having it in the living, experiencing value, it is not much use. So I wanted to put it in a way that you get at least knowledge of what Sri Aurobindo represents. So this book was formed I'll name it the Supreme Knowledge. So what this is actually, let's say they have about 300 subjects, so whatever subject you choose, let's say meditation, or what is faith, or any subject. So it just takes one subject and it describes in Sri Aurobindo's words what is that, and then it describes in Sri Aurobindo's lines in Savitri. Because it describes in Sri Aurobindo's lines in Savitri the same thing, and the text which is the intellectual or understanding, the reading itself becomes very powerful. Because you read the information, and anybody who's ready, reading Sri Aurobindo, the experience it opens the doors. But even if you're not ready, it opens something in you. And if you don't understand totally, even if you read, it improves your English anyway. So when you read the Sri Aurobindo's text, and then you read the same thing in the mantra, or something correlated to it in mantra, it has like a hit blow on you. It is like a pow. So when I was writing it or putting it together, I had to stop. In the sense, I had to take a break, because the experience of it was so rich and so vast that my body, I was not ready for it, It's like, so the whole thing of reading Sri Aurobindo and the Mother also, like it's basically to open the doors of the experience. Because once you know something experientially, it is yours, it becomes part of you. Information can delete it can change, and can be influenced and everything. But experience, so whole yoga and everything is about experience. If it's not experienced, it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. So if you come here for the divine consciousness, and if you have not experienced it, you're not in the game yet. You cannot be about taking a side or being about this, or I'm going to follow this, or I'm going to follow that. And no matter how good it is or how right it is, if you are come here for the divine, do not betray the divine and say, I'm with this group or I'm with that group. Make yourself pure to follow the divine, or if you can't make yourself pure, at least be open for the divine. Don't sell your soul. Your soul is for the divine's work, and you have to make the necessary offerings so that this work can take place in you. Nobody can do it for you, and you can't do it for nobody. So to remain open for the divine's work, you have to go within yourself, find yourself. You can't do it, at least be silent for some time and find what is the divine will. If you don't know what's the divine will, don't know thing, doesn't matter, you keep trying. The degree you make this space for silence is the degree the actual work can take place. So if there is silence created, that means you have stepped into what is called the experiential world or the spiritual life world, because this silence is alone that allows the force to come in and go in. If the cup is bubbling, the divine has to wait, and you don't know what's happening. I know this, I know this, I know this, but you're not happy. Happiness is the very ABC, the step. Not talking about spiritual joys and ecstasy. The happiness is what Mother says, be simple, be happy, do your work as well as you can. This is all that is asked from you. The rest they will do. It's too big a job for any human strength to do. But give your collaboration. But when you are about planning and doing this and doing that and doing that, not being about like a child open, and this, that spiritual world does not open. You may be in charge of Auroville, or you may be in charge of this, and you may be in charge of this, but you're a hollow man as far as spiritual joy is concerned. So the basic requirement with Sri Aurobindo's thing is the psychic realization. If you can't do it yourself, let them do it, but you have to make yourself available for this happening. Because without it, there is no taste of why you are here. There is no taste of the greatness which has been being brought down upon us. And so we missing the thing, and we all have is the information and the brochure and the thing. You don't go to a restaurant to eat the menu. You want to eat the food. You want to have the real thing. You don't want to just get the information, be satisfied with it. So Auroville has been created for this manifestation to be accelerated. And as not everybody is enlightened and is everybody, so there's a mixture of all and the freedom given to all in their own way. The basic requirement is that one should be about the divine. And the rest, the divine will take care. So I end my talk here for a while, and thank you.